First, I want to thank you all for being here. It's our pleasure to show you around our plant. We're really proud of how we manufacture things here for Jewel, and we do manufacture for a few other companies as well. So it all starts in our manufacturing process is the design aspect of it. And we'll show you some of the really cool stuff that we can do. We use 3D CAD/CAM software, design everything on the computer. What's important about that is that we build originals. A lot of processes require you already have an existing part to build a mold from that existing part. We actually build original parts from original molds. So we can design all that right here. We can take it from an idea we may have drawn out on a napkin or something in our mind that we'd like to produce. We can take it all the way through that process and design it very accurately with our software. Once we're through the design part of it on the computer, everything is sent to our milling center, which is a Fadal, and it's a CNC mill. And from here, we can actually design what we, or build what we already have designed on the computer. Here's an example of a mold blank that we're just finishing up, half of it here. The other half is in the machine right now. And earlier we had this pulled back so you could actually see the process. So we use aerospace grade billet aluminum, and we mill all the cavities right into the aluminum. If you contrast that with how most molds in this industry are made, as I mentioned to you before, everything that we do, we build originals. To build a spin cast type mold, which is what most people in the industry use, you have to have an existing product that is actually impressed into the mold. As you can see, these are flexible. They are aligned with these little nuts that fit together so that the mold closes. You can also see that various parts are laid out in the mold. Whenever these are laid out, there's no real precise way to do this. So you lay them in there, and because it is rubber, parts can move a little bit. These are spun at about 500 RPM, so you can imagine whenever you have loose parts in a mold, they start to spin, parts begin to move, and then you dump hot molten lead in there, and that further complicates the process. So what happens is all your parts are a little bit different. Okay, so you contrast that with what we're building out of aerospace grade aluminum. We operate in tolerances of 1,500, and a human hair is about 3,000, to give you an idea how close our tolerances are. And so what you have here is a very precise product, very repeatable. Every part is exactly the same. The other benefit is that if we want to make several different sizes of an existing product, you either have to add Bondo or plaster or something to these pieces to shape them and then file them down, sand them down to get them the shape that you want. Whereas in a process like this, we scale everything either up or down right in the computer. So if you want a football jig from 1/8 ounce all the way up to 1 ounce, and you want those in 1/16 ounce increments, we can do that all on the computer. Every one of the jigs will be symmetrical. They will all look exactly the same, only the size will increase as we go up. And so everything's the same. The other thing that we can do, we can actually weigh the parts or determine the weight of the finished good on the computer screen, because we can measure volume there. So we know within just a few grams or grains of what that product's going to weigh before we ever spend the time to cut the mold. And so that's also very helpful. So here's a finished mold to give you a contrast between what we have here in the silicone, and we align these with these nuts, which we don't use this process. You contrast that with a set of billet aluminum molds that are very tight tolerances and very exact in nature. So I'll show you how those operate on the machine here in just a minute. The other interesting thing is that these machines you'll see in a minute, we actually built here at KG. So not only do we build products, not only do we build molds, but we actually built the machines by which we run the products. And all those were built here in-house, and they're none like it anywhere else. So, but it gives us a very high quality product and very repeatable, something you'd be proud to use. We have several different mold sizes that we use depending upon the product that we manufacture. So if we are building a small product like a small jig head, we may use a smaller mold. Bigger jigs, a bigger mold. And then if we're doing spinner baits, it's like the one I showed you a while ago, we use a 4x4 style, which has has more mass to it. It says lay out larger parts in the mold. But all these cabinets are all full of these molds. And if you'll notice, they're all numbered. Each one of these numbers coincides with a database. And in that database, we have all the perimeters set up. So we know what the wire size is going to be, the hook size, the hook number, what lead we're going to use, how hot the lead's going to be, how many milliseconds we trigger that lead for, all the machine perimeters that we need. It comes with a blueprint that shows that product, how it's actually going to look, so there's no room for error. So when we get an order in, all that data comes out of our database is actually on the order, and so we always know what it's going to be, and everything goes together and coincides, so there's no room for error. Putting the wrong hook in the wrong product, so very important. Not only do we build molds, but these machines are actually built here at KG as well, and these are machines that actually run the products, pour the products. The operator actually loads a hook and a wire. This is spinner bait that we're doing for one of our customers. So a hook and a wire is loaded. It's all held precisely in the mold. It travels underneath the lead pot. Lead is injected. All those are set on timers with perimeters. Once the lead is injected, it comes back around here. It cools a little bit. The operator pulls the spinner bait out of the mold, and the actual sprue then, what we pour on top, is broke off. The product is put in the box, getting ready to either go to powder coat, spray coat. Maybe it's going to go to a plating company, or it's going to go directly to the customer. All these parts that we break off are all remelted back into lead bars, and I'll show you how we formulate our own lead here. So we use 1 of 3 types of lead, and I'll show you how it's done a little bit. But if you'll notice, the lead is hung overhead, and we have sensors in the lead pot that actually sense the lead level. So whenever the lead gets lower, it automatically lowers that down. So we always have the right amount of lead in our lead pots at all times. It eliminates any cold start or bad shots that would result of having cold lead too. This is a product we build for Mustad, and it's a grip pin series of hooks. We actually cast a keeper right onto the hook shank, and we have a keeper then that holds the soft plastic in place. And we build this for Mustad in a variety of sizes and shapes, all the way from a size 1, something that you could drop shot on table rock with, up to a larger size like you would flip pitch mats, something like that with, use a big piece of plastic with. Mustad came to us a few years back. They wanted us to build a product for them that would solve some problems that existed in the industry. So we were able to put a keeper right onto a straight shank worm hook, which had not been done in really before. Straight shank worm hooks work real well, good hook set, real efficient when you're fishing with them, but the problem with before was there wasn't a keeper to hold your plastic in place. And so with this process, we're actually able to do that. And you can see how these fit in the mold. This is a finished product, but it sits, it's held in place with magnets. So everything is held into place. I don't know if you see or not, but on this hook there's a couple little barbs. We actually cast that keeper right onto those barbs. And we'll take them here, then we'll powder coat it, we'll package it, and actually ship it all for them. So, but since 1877, they've only allowed one factory outside their own factories to build anything for them, and that's us. So we're very proud of that fact and delighted to be able to work with them on this project. We get our lead right from the smelter, and we use either 4/9 pure or 3/9/7 pure. And what that means is that you have a very high quality lead. And the reason we use that is very important. The reason, lead varies in weight by 40%. And so if you use scrap lead, wheel weight lead, linotype lead, tin lead, plumber's lead, all that can vary in weight by 40%. So to give you an example, if you have a 3/4 ounce football jig and it varies by 40%, what you may end up with is a football jig that's 3/4 ounce one time and 5/8 ounce another time. And that becomes a problem. Let's say you're on Table Rock, you're fishing a ledge 30 feet deep. You found that rock pile out on the end with a 3/4 ounce football jig. You've got that sweet spot found and you can catch fish off of it. You change colors, you break off or whatever. You put on another jig, if it's not using good quality lead, that jig may weigh 5/8 of an ounce. You may never develop that same feel again. And we all know how important it is to have a jig that falls consistently. Once we've determined what that jig size needs to be, it needs to be that way every single time. So having confidence in the lure you're using is very important. If you don't know what your lure weighs from time to time, or from one jig to the next, although the package may say the same size, if you don't know that it weighs the same, you don't get that level of confidence because nothing feels the same. And particularly in jig fishing, developing that feel is extremely important. So what we do, we formulate our own lead, we add our own antimonies to it, and you see this process right now. Larry's actually pouring some lead. We have 3 different types of lead, and we'll show you the different types here in a minute, and we formulate all of those. And during this process, we actually remove any impurities that come to the top during that process. So as this lead is continuously refined, it's continuously, the impurities are continuously taken off the top, and so it gets better and better each time we use it. And you've seen lead out there while we were pouring a while ago where we have all the little sprues that come off. Those are just remelted back into lead bars of that type. So we have 3 different types of lead. We keep them all separate, and whenever we're redoing our lead bars, we pour them right back into those bars again. And so you can see Larry doing this right now. He's actually pouring into our mold. So we take 60-pound ingots that come right from the smelter, and we actually pour it into 30-pound bars after we add our own antimonies to it. And it makes the bars easier to handle. We also put a pin in it so we can hang it on our machines that you've seen out there a while ago. So it's easy to suspend over our lead pots with our machines. They're poured into molds, and once those cool, we have a cooling table here. Once they're cooled, the molds are just turned upside down and the lead bars come out of those. And that's the process that you're seeing going on right now. We actually do have some scrap leads, as you can see over here, and that's what most tackle manufacturers use, is the stuff that's scrap. And so you never know exactly what it is that you've got when you're using scrap lead. So we use the good stuff. It's more expensive, but everything that we build here when it comes to jigs, spinnerbaits, is made out of lead. So it is a very important part of the equation and a very important part of the components we use. So having pure lead, the right stuff, very important. In this room, we can do spray coats, flake coats, candy coats, pearl coats, all kinds of accents and things that you would want to have done. Add eyes to them, clear coat over those. So it gives you a lot of options. We developed a clear coat that is extremely durable. We have a system that bonds to itself, bonds to the previous step each time. And so whenever you're done, you have a clear coat that won't come off. It's as tough as powder coat, which is hard to find. So it's extremely durable, and like I said, let you do other things that powder coat won't allow you to do. I just want to thank you all for being with us today. It's our honor and our pleasure to have you come and tour our factory. So anytime you're in the area, we're actually located just a few hundred yards from bass cap boats and legend boats. So if you're ever in the area doing a boat tour, coming to pick up your bass boat, stop by, be glad to have you. Come by, sign our wall. Like I said, it's our honor and our pleasure to have you as part of our family here. Come and take a tour. So just want to thank you for your support, and look forward to seeing you.